She's absolutely deranged, and hopefully it'll be sorted. A lawyer on here actually got in touch with me and said that if it's true that she's encouraging consensual non-consent, it's likely to be an average of 5 to 8 years jail time. So yeah, quite the escalation from yesterday's post about it merely just being 8 months. Hello, my snacks. Welcome back. My name's Jack. For those of you not caught up yet, yesterday I uploaded a video in which one of the stories was a two-parter talking about this conundrum of events. Now, over the span of 24 hours, a lot has happened that needs to be talked about, but also for the sake of completeness, I will be sharing the original reading of this story in this video, so feel free to skip ahead if you're already up to speed. Am I the a-hole for telling a friend that she'd settle for a penis and a pulse after she shamed my standards? I, female 20, had a close friend, female 22. I've been with her since I was 18, and she asked about it. I, 20-year-old female, had a close friend, 22 female. I've been single since I was 18, and she asked about it. Upon me telling her I wasn't interested in dating right now, she said, "So basically, you can't find anyone." I brushed past it, not wanting any arguments. She later asked what I'd look for in a guy. As I told her, and my basic standards would be, respect goes both ways. Us versus the problem, not me versus you. Likes dogs. I have 3, so obvious reasons. Generally good hygiene, decent level of fitness, not necessarily aesthetic. I'm heavily into the gym and fitness, so I want someone to match this ideally. Driven and hardworking, i.e. has a goal or drive of what they want to do with their life. But she told me, "You're never gonna find a guy because you're asking far too much. If you were to lower your standards, you'd find a lovely guy. The only standard should be compatibility. If you did, you wouldn't be alone for the rest of your life because that's where you're heading." Ah yes, because wanting your partner to respect you is absolutely superficial. God, what such high standard you expect of your partner to wash their butthole. Seriously, my God, if this person considers this not compatibility and like too high of standards, wow. What? What exactly is lower than all these things that makes a guy lovely? Please, I need to know. Wow. Back to the story. Later that evening, my brother messaged me with a screenshot from Tinder with my photos and my profile, asking whether it was me, as I assume, due to similar ages and location, we had matched. I don't like the idea of dating apps at all, and my family knows this. It was a whole lot of back and forth. Turns out the friend made a dating profile on your behalf to find a good guy for you. Update. Oh, we found multiple, at least 20 after this. I was absolutely fuming and made it clear to her. She told me she was helping me out and knew what was good for me as a friend. I told her that just because all she looks for is a penis and a pulse, it doesn't mean that I do. Now she's blocked me on all platforms and won't take the profile down. Yeah, so obviously this is not a case of someone being a genuine a-hole. This is your friend absolutely being a definite a-hole. Not to mention, this is beyond catfishing. This is just downright illegal. This friend is clearly desperate for her ideals to be supported by you so she can feel like she is actually a sane person and not just psychotic. I don't doubt if you were both married and she recently got divorced, she'd try and make you get divorced as well, just so she could feel like she belongs with someone. So on to the updates that make things get worse. We later found several more accounts, current count at 22, all containing the same photos and description. The latest, we know of, dating 5 weeks ago. The night I posted this, I stayed over at my brother's, and neighbors informed me 2 separate cars pulled up in the middle of the night. So she's been sharing my address since. Someone on here advised to get security cameras to monitor whilst I'm not home, obviously. And in the space of 6 hours, 14 men showed up at my home. It's absolutely mental, especially as I've got no idea what she's telling these men. It has the possibility of getting very, very dangerous quickly. On the police or lawyer front, she's definitely against the law. But until we have direct evidence that she's sending the men to my address, i.e. messages from her to one of the men, she can't be charged with harassment. Lawyer seems sure we'll win the case though, on the basis of harassment, identity theft, and defamation, possible, with up to 8 months jail time. But would I be the a-hole if I pressed full charges against her? I think there's still that element of what if she was trying to help? Though, to be honest, I doubt it. You can't exactly help someone's dating life when you catfish strangers into a false idea of who they are as a person, let alone just making them come to the house. Like, how many guys go straight to someone's house thinking they're just gonna chat and have a date versus try and hook up? So, myself and a group of 5 others, including my brother, are waiting at my house for a few hours to try and speak to anyone who arrives and find out what she's told them and to gain any evidence. We'll update in the morning as to how that goes. A lovely hotel near where I live has very kindly offered a room free of charge for the next 2 weeks whilst it's unsafe to stay at my home. For myself and the 3 dogs, the support has been overwhelming. Damn, where do you live? This is like a hotel is giving this to you for free? That's My god, the hotel. They're part of this whole scheme. This is all a plan to create a dramatic story so they could be advertised out of a kindness of the OP's heart. But yeah, in all seriousness, this is a pretty scary thing for a woman to experience, no doubt. Some people will advise that Tinder, if you get in contact with them, they can take the profile down, but of course, that's just one of the 22 out there. Not the a-hole. Make a profile for her. Under the interests, write penis and a pulse. See how she likes it. So that's where things left off. Opie and her friends were gonna perform a sort of stakeout at her place, left a sign up at the door to say, hey, if you've been a part of this situation, sorry, but you've been catfished, but please get in contact with us if anything we can use to find proof that it's Opie's ex-friends causing all this. Well, it seems Opie got a bit too trusting of these strangers willing to just have a chat, because in the next post they make, they head over to r/medical for a question regarding jaw heavily swollen and loss of a tooth. Not much to go into detail about this part, they just talk about a heavily swollen jaw and a complete loss of a back tooth, or almost completely cracked. Discussing the experience they had at the hospital and are wondering what exactly they can do about it to help it all out. And while it's horrible to hear about this, you're probably wondering how exactly this came to be. Well, the OP made a little comment in the previous post. Details on update number 1. The attack. Trigger warning for blood. I'm okay now. I was up at the hospital for a little while last night as I was worried it was something to do with my jaw, but thankfully, they don't think so, and my teeth have taken most of the damage, so just a little knocked up. So, the sign on the door said, if you're here to see my name, you've been catfished by a woman using her photos and name to harass her. I'm currently collecting evidence against her, and I'd really appreciate if you have any messages from her you could show us. If you're not comfortable, please give my brother's number a call. Anyway, a car pulled up and left about 5 minutes later. No luck there. But after an hour or so, 10:30 maybe, a guy knocked at the door. I just assumed he was coming to help. I kind of thanked him and began to explain what was going on, but he grabbed the side of the shoulder, pushed me towards the corner of the porch. It's fairly small. He's still pinning me into the corner at this point, so I'm pushing them off and screaming for the others in the house with me. He punched smack bang over the right side of my face. I'm so thankful it wasn't my nose. Blood was streaming out of my mouth from the tooth, so I ran over to the kitchen whilst my brother and his mates were trying to sort it all out. A friend that was with me called the police. I don't really remember what happened afterwards. I think I was in a bit of shock, but everyone else was unscathed, so I don't think he was there for too long. Safe to say, we won't be doing that again. So things have certainly escalated beyond the point of a simple annoyance of a friend stealing some identity for what would be some sort of revengeful prank. Yes, revengeful is a word now. As many comments have suggested, based on this sudden event, perhaps this is too risky, and maybe someone else already suggested this. What about if someone creates a fake account in the same apps and websites she had the accounts on? Did she cancel all of them? Because you might be able to catch her that way, and then you would have the screenshots and the number she is giving out. Now, also to note for any sense of comfort, the guy has been taken into custody, which while it was a horrible experience, it is great news for their attempts to cash this woman out, because now they have someone who is definitely in contact with her who can possibly provide some more info into her schemes. But also, unfortunately, as the OP mentions, to set up a fake profile is difficult, as for most of these dating app companies, you do need a photo to sign up. Now, if it's any of my friends or brother, she's likely to catch on. However, if we were to use a random photo of someone else, I think we'd end up being legally implicated for identity fraud, especially since my lawyer is involved. But what's even creepier? After speaking to some of my friends outside of the country, most said that she'd sent them a friend request 2 or 3 months ago. It just seems so weird and obsessive that it's something she's been planning for a while. Because really, why is she requesting family and friends of mine who live hundreds of miles away, and I've never even mentioned them to her? To which this comment decides to go armchair psychologist on them, but it is an interesting point to make. OP, this wasn't something she'd set up to get back at you. She'd already had this set up for herself and decided to use it to hurt you. She's already been catfishing as you for months. She's jealous of you, used your face to gain the attention of men, and then when it was so successful, she got even more jealous. This is what the whole "you need to lower your standards" thing was about. She feels like you're being haughty. To her, you could have any man you want, and so don't you understand what a privilege that is? And when you confirmed your supposed stuck-uppedness to her by having standards, she had all the reason she needed to finally unleash the machine she built upon you. I mean, it sounds rather dramatic villainesque, but considering the events that have transpired, I'm also not too surprised. And apparently this ex-friend is being rather crafty, because though OP is managing to remove some of these accounts, she's recreating them, spelling her name with a double L so it's not picked up by the system. In fact, this friend is getting so crazy with it all, it's almost impossible for keeping up with reporting and contacting these companies about it before just more profiles get made in its stead. Which brings us to the more recent update, which is the peak of this ex-friend's insanity. Honestly, to a point where part of you kind of pities what's going on. Alright, I'll start at the most significant, though it's a little tied. When the psycho friend, we will call her Olivia for the purpose of making updates easier. Anyway, Olivia's sister, been in contact with my brother and later her family, informing them of the situation, rang me up this evening and said she got my number from my brother. There was a bit of awkward small talk, sorry this is happening, etc. But she mentioned a friend of Olivia's had visited Olivia after seeing the posts from the sister. If that makes sense, I'm sorry, it's been a lot today. She said that the friend was really concerned about Olivia and seemed emotionally unstable, that Olivia was bursting out into tears, etc. She said Olivia has completely dyed her hair. She's normally blonde, but now dyed to dark brown. Had an effing tattoo done of a tulip, emotionally significant to me, and was saying she desperately needed money for liposuction, fat removal, and breast reduction, and was pleading with the friend that visited, saying that it was urgent. So let's just have a think and see who that sounds an awful lot like. Dark hair? Check. Tattoo of a tulip on my calf? Check. Small boo-boos? Check. Skinny? Check. This woman is trying to copy my entire life. So the sister of Olivia asked the friend where she was staying, obviously concerned for the welfare of her sister, and the friend won't say anything about it. The sister lives out of town and can't get a hold of Olivia at all, and the sister won't tell me who the friend was that visited her. Helpful, right? But on the positive note, the police are holding the guy in custody at the moment. They were able to pick up the registration from one of the neighbor's security cams, and I'd assume traced it to an address or something. Anyway, they rang earlier, confirming details of my description, and it matches both the security footage and my description. They haven't told me any more than the guy is being held at the moment. On another positive-ish note, my brother finally gets a bit of space back. The hotel invited myself and the dogs to stay for the next week. Tonight being our first night, I have made it very clear to the hotel that no info can be disclosed that I'm staying there, etc. And they've agreed. She's read the fake profile messages on the dating site and hasn't responded. Thank you all for your concern, guys. Beyond appreciative. So of course a lot of love from people in the comments. Some even assuring that relying on the rationality of others is nothing to be ashamed of. As from this person's personal experience, and I'll be honest, it's kind of funny, don't feel bad you were relying on the rationality of others, and that should be something reasonable. I was dating a woman and we had a disagreement, and she ran over my foot with her car. She definitely swerved towards me. I gave her a time and a place to meet to talk. She ran over my foot a second time. It's not easy relying on other people not being crazy dipschmits. I mean, I know it's genuine physical injury on someone, but come on. It's like a comedy. It's almost happening in threes. And back to the seriousness, though, I would have to agree with this comment. It is likely that she's trying to project to these random men the OP has some sort of fantasy that she'd really like them to play out, which is what OP mentions in another comment, updating some more info. The police seem to hint that it was likely she's attempting to get me grapefruited or attacked, consensual non-consent type of thing. So I wonder whether they'd found something messages-wise, which is pretty damn frightening. Lawyer thinks it's likely I'll have to move houses in a few weeks' time. One of the dating sites is able to forward us a chat log from the account, as I've provided ID, etc. Not that it'll be a whole lot of use now, but more evidence the better. All in a 3 days' work, eh? And in regards to someone wanting to know just how long have you known this crazy person and some more background about them at all that could give us some insight into why they've done this. Well, I've been close with her for 2, maybe 3-ish years, but I've known her since high school. We have a few mutual friends, but I've reached out and they've heard nothing about her. In terms of her boyfriend, not that I know of, we only met a handful of times. They'd only gone out for a month or 2. And yeah, she's absolutely deranged, and hopefully it'll be sorted. A lawyer on here actually got in touch with me and said that if it's true that she's encouraging this consensual non-consent, it's likely to be an average of 5 to 8 years jail time. Now, I did leave this profile for another day or 2 to see what further updates would come to us, and it seems the OP has returned to the route of trying to catch out this ex-friend on her act by matching with her online. They state that we made a dating profile with one of my brother's mates, who doesn't really know me, so chances are she won't have found him. So technically, it's not exactly fake. I did ask her sister whether she had any history with that sort of thing, but she said it was so out of the blue and never showed any signs. Wonder whether she's trying to cover her own butt, though. This in regards to the theory that it's possible that this friend has maybe done this sort of thing to someone else in the past, but apparently she hasn't, as far as the sister is telling us. We've been sent over the chat log from one of the dating sites, and it's absolutely horrendous. However, she forwards them onto a separate number, multiple different ones too, to arrange to meet. The worst part though, things I've told her that have happened in my life, like for instance, my aunt being diagnosed with cancer, she's echoing the same things that have happened in my life off to these men. Even creepier creepier, this thing has been going on for far longer than my brother and I assumed. I spoke to my mom last night. She lives in Australia, so we don't see her very often. I was telling her about what was going on, and she said she spoke to her maybe 5 months ago. The friend told my mom that she was arranging a photo wall for my 20th and asked whether she, the mom, had any childhood photos and any pictures she had of me to use. She also asked for my mom's address to mail any photos from the day to her. This, obviously, is absolute bullshit, but I wonder whether she wanted the address to confirm I wouldn't go live with my mom? I don't know. Annoyingly, my mom never mentioned anything, as it was meant to be a surprise, apparently, and she'd forgotten all about it afterwards. I'll have to speak to a lawyer about it this afternoon. Keep fingers crossed for us. And in their latest update regarding a response to someone wondering if OP could tell the police about Sister's own actions and all this, and knowing who Olivia is, etc. So I told the lawyer about it when I spoke to him earlier, but he thinks it's likely after tracing the phone number, they'll be able to find an exact location anyway, though something seems to be going on with the friend. So I wonder whether she knows more than what she let on to the sister. And as of yet, that seems to be the furthest things have gone so far. Fingers crossed another update doesn't happen in the middle of me uploading this video, but we'll see how it goes. It is really nice to see that there's been so many people in this person's comments that have offered such insightful information regarding legal advice, what to talk to the police about that they can forward through on doing, such as IP tracking, etc. You know, it's just nice to see that this friend is not gonna get away with this at all. But yes, again, that's the update to it all so far. Thank you if you're watching it still this far into the video. We'll get back onto some other less insane, but also arguably still equally insane stories in the next time. For now though, you be good, love your face, drink some water, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.